Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice.
Well, good evening, everybody. Woo! It's Happy New Year. We're celebrating Happy New Year here at Painting with Menoth John because we are adopting a new policy on this show by using metric time as our standard. So, to everybody who has already celebrated metric Happy New Year in New Zealand and in South Africa, as well as parts of Greece. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
We got a little ahead of ourselves, but that's how it happens when you're on metric time in the podcasting world. Usually we wait for the update where we each talk about what our beverage of choice is for the night, and then we launch in with a hey, Ron. But due to the conversion factors associated with metric time to English or imperial time, we got a little ahead of ourselves there. So, but we have to catch up now because of the conversion factors. So I'm not feeling well, and that's why I'm wearing a party hat tonight, is because this is going to be what's going to help me with my attitude, get me through the next 90 minutes of spending time with the best fans on the internet, the Brushheads. We're here. We're going to have a good old time, and I'm drinking. I'm starting off with Dasani Sparkling Black Cherry Water, and then I'm going to switch over to LaCroix Pamplemousse, which is that's I believe French or German for grapefruit. So Pamplemousse. I'm also part of the Moose Lodge, so I might be part of the Pamplemousse Lodge also. So we'll find out. I'll ask him next time I'm at the lodge. I'll do the handshake and all that kind of stuff, and I think it might be more like this. And then we'll go ahead and I'll find out what their take is on Pamplemousse juice. Gonzo, what about you?
To start off, I'm going to take a shot of Maker's Mark and, of course, of my Painting with Menoth John shot glass.
Very nice. Very classy.
And throughout the podcast, I'll be drinking some vanilla porter.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Excellent choices, I think, across the board on that one. What about you, John? What are you?
I'm going to start with a shot of Jim Beam Red Stag Black Cherry Whiskey. And then I'm going to follow it up with something I just got this weekend, Mackenzie's Black Cherry Hard Cider.
Very, very nice. Now, folks, I may not have... This may be the first time that you have ever tuned in to this extravaganza of epic proportions known as the Painting with Menoth John Sunday Night Experience. I am Menoth John. Up there in the catbird seat, the wind beneath my wings. You know him. You love him. He's the guy in orange. That's Mr. John Spencer. And the fellow in the yellow up there is the official mascot of the Painting with Menoth John show. That is the Irrational Gonzo. Whoop. Whoop. All right, so now we've worked our way all the way back using metric time conversions. So now we'll just finish it off with a hey, Ron.
Ron.
All right. Well, guys, I'm feeling inspired tonight. Oh, snap. That's a segue, and that's the sign of professional podcasting. Let me tell you what, folks. Yes, time out. Gonzo?
Nutter Butter and Maker's Mark is the shit.
Oh, nice. Nutter Butter peanut butter cookies?
Yeah, Nutter Butter cookies and Maker's Mark. You heard it here first.
I can see
New combo.
Sounds terrible, but I'll take your word on it.
Well,
oh my God, it was so good.
I can see this though. I mean, with the Nutter Butter peanut butter, there gives you there's an umami that you get from the peanut butter that I would think would also blend well with the the rolling thunder of the Maker's Mark, and those two combined would probably cause some type of a complexing agent to take place, which would end up with just thrilling amounts of flavor profile in your mouth.
Chemistry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not sure if that's brilliant or bullshit. It definitely starts with a B.
Yep. There's parts of that flavor profile that you can't even describe in front of delicate
Children.
ears. Children. That'd get your shit locked up right away. But not on this show. No, because we're using metric manners. So we only have to use 10 manners per show, and that we're not going to use one of them up on that one. I'll tell you what. But thank you very much, Gonzo. What are we going to call that? When we come up with new drinks on the Painting with Men Out John show, we always give them new names. We have, we have the Force Blow, which is, of course, Kraken and orange juice. What's this one going to be called?
I don't know. Maybe Sticky Fire? I don't know. Like a peanut butter fire?
Okay. Well, why don't we just throw it out to the we've got the best fans in the whole wide universe. And why don't we throw it out to the chat room, and by the end of the show, you can tell us, Gonzo, which one you like the best for the combination of Nutter Butter peanut butter cookies and what was that stuff you're drinking?
Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark. Okay, I know what that is. That's got all the wax on the top of it. Jaws of the Wolf.
Yeah.
I like that one. I like
Maybe
Jaws of the
something
Wolf.
Nutting Bourbon.
There you go.
Nutty bourbon.
Nutty Bourbon. All right, well,
Jesus.
see if we can do better than that, but we'll see. I don't know how, but we'll try. So there you go. So we're throwing some are coming in already. We've got Sticky Whiskey.
Sticky whiskey. That's probably something else entirely.
Jaws of the Wolf. I like that one pretty good. Keeps with the Kador theme. But we'll keep on looking at that one, and we'll just we'll recognize whoever it is that comes out with the best one. Folks, without further ado, just one little quick prop out there. I believe is it still possible to go for Battle for Breath tonight?
I don't think so. I think that was yesterday.
Okay.
That was yesterday.
All right. Well, if you're using metric time, go back at least yesterday to get over there for Battle for Breath. I hope that everything went very, very well with that, and super sweet. Coming up September 8th, 9th, and 10th is John Con. If you can't make it to Racine, Wisconsin, we will have a GoFundMe again for this one. We're looking at we made $747 last time. We're looking forward to doubling that this year, and so that's the goal we're shooting for, is doubling, because we're going to have the possibility of having twice as many people at it. So let's go ahead and let's double it up and see what we can do. And it's a stretch goal. We went into the all-day event not thinking we were going to do $1,500 either, and then that happened. However, I think at JohnCon, if I end up as naked as I was for the all-day event, they're going to lock me up. So we're not going to let that happen.
It's in the Moose Lodge, not your house. That's much, much worse.
Yeah, we can't let that happen, so we won't. And but hey, it's coming up. Keep watching here, folks. We're trying to line up some suggestions for hotels and all that kind of stuff. I'm here all week. I don't have to go out of town for business, so I should be able to catch up on a few things this week. So, lastly, is there anything else we need to talk about? Get on over to patreon.com/menouthjohn. This is kind of a tough time for people as far as, I'm sure there's a few people that money might be a little tight. If you've got a couple extra funds, if you enjoy what you're watching, we like to support the artists that we enjoy. Maybe you would like to support the artists that you enjoy, and that's a long stretch to call us artists, but we'll take that assumption and roll with it. So anyway, the other thing, John, I don't think that there are many podcasts out there that are wearing Happy New Year's hats today either, and that's the kind of entertainment you can get from a show like ours, right?
Truth.
Yeah. I hope I got a shave too. I'm getting a little grizzly here. I got to do something about that. All right.
I just did that.
Yeah,
What?
your beards are looking handsome, both of you. But I need to I got to do a little something over here with this. It's starting to get a little prickly. So, without further ado, we are going to talk about inspiration tonight. Gonzo, you had this as an idea earlier today when I was coming up empty with things to talk about. So why don't you kind of talk a little bit about what you were thinking about?
Well, usually if I pick up a whole new army, a whole new faction, I'm always thinking of what can I make this, because I don't think I've ever painted a model to studio scheme ever, and I'm just like painted my own way. But I'm also pretty freaking horrible at painting, so I'm always trying to find like really quick and easy ways to paint stuff.
Shortcuts.
Yes, black and dry brushing and stuff like that is my forte. I can make a good black scheme look really good. And so I had my Shale Han, which is a part of the Wrath of Kings line, and it's Oriental in theme. You know, the dragon and all this other stuff are all Oriental themed. And I was like, because I told another guy I was going to paint him like the Golden Army from Hellboy, and he was like, "Oh, so I like how I painted mine." I'm like, "Shit, okay, I'll change something up."
Never let that stop you.
No, and the thing is I was like, well, what can I do? And I was like, well, let's look at Oriental paint schemes and, whatever, because that was it. And then I saw the blue and white, porcelain pots.
Yeah.
And porcelain artwork. And I was like, okay, that looks really cool. I wonder if I can pull that off. And so I tried to do the blue with a white, with a blue dry brush, and it didn't turn out so well. So I just flipped it and then blue washed it and white dry brush, and it came out to that awesome miniature. I mean, and
It was really breathtaking, Gonzo.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost your audio. We can't hear you, Gonzo.
are you there?
Now I can hear you.
We're here.
Now I can hear you.
Must have been
Cool.
just quick cut out.
Yep.
But yeah, that was because I tried to flip the colors and do white underneath and blue dry brush, and didn't turn out, so I flipped it, and then it turned out to what I painted. But like I said, it took longer to do the water effects than it did to actually paint the miniature.
And boy,
Which is always a good thing to aim for.
Yep,
Yes.
that's a big deal. Gonzo, if you wouldn't mind, could you go get that model and maybe just hold it up close to the camera as best you can? So while he does that, I'm not super awesome at paints. To be honest, for the longest time, I had a tough time deciding on paint schemes. So this is a good discussion for us to have, because I have personally struggled with this. John, when you've started new armies and things like that, what are some of the sources of inspiration you've taken?
My mercs are pretty standard, but when I got to the Rulik portion, I was really spitballing, and then I was reading through random comic graphic novels, and I saw G.I. Joe Crimson Guardsman, and I'm like, that's a paint scheme you can put on a model.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's why they're red and black with a little bit of silver and occasionally bronze on them. Mimics it pretty well, easy to paint, and very cool. I actually wish I'd kind of saved it for Retribution or something, because it would do well over an entire army, especially the way their stuff looks.
Yep.
All right.
All right, so here it is. And I'm going to do something here I'm using some of my tricks here. There. Now I blew you up a little bit. Man, that is so beautiful, dude. Wow.
I mean, all it was I put a gray undercoat on it, and then washed it with, I think, arcane blue.
Okay.
And then dry brushed it white. I used a light gray on it to dry brush, and then did a really heavy dry brush of white on it.
Man, that looks good.
And then, like I said, the water effects is what took the longest, and it was like just quick water effects too.
I'll tell you what, Gonzo, that looks absolutely fantastic. And Side Hustle Seth is giving you massive love as well.
That's because I'm special to him.
You could have just ended that sentence at special.
Okay.
But, oh, man, that is super great. Really love how that turned out. Now, I would assume you're going to head down that direction for the whole army?
I think I'm going to do the entire army like that. Like, I have a model, it's coming up, and I'm going to try to work on this one next. And I think she's called the Death Blossom. I don't know all my models for Shale Han's names. But it's, and I think I'm going to do the whole thing, except for this, like, liquid part that's stretched out and she's standing on.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do that green. But still do, the bronze gold accent just to set it all apart.
Well,
And
the
just
bronze,
do the entire army like that.
the bronze gold accent, I think, makes the piece because
Yes.
it gives such a great contrast against the blue white that you've got going on in the rest of it.
Yeah.
Man,
I mean, I've got, big old elephant dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey.
The monkey. Oh, yeah. I already showed the monkey. Here's the monkey. General
Oh.
Monkey.
There you go. And
So, I mean, it's going to be all... I think I'm going to do the entire army. That make it quick and easy. That way, whenever I actually start to play it, it'll be purdy.
so now on some of those models, you've got like the line that you showed us at first had a lot of like organic area to it, where it looked like the monkey maybe had a little bit more armor on it. How are you going to treat that in your color scheme? Is that all going to be the brass?
Well, where'd the monkey go? Okay. If you notice that the monkey... I'm going to do, like, the weapons bronze and gold.
Okay.
But, like, he's got these little backpack parts, and their basic troops have, like, a backpack also. I'm going to do those bronze.
Okay.
So just pick out small pieces to do the bronze, just so it does that small pop like that. But do, like, the overall body,
Yeah.
that dry brush.
Cool. Man, that's going to be so cool. So cool to see that army kind of progress along as you're painting it.
It'll take a while.
That's fine. It turns out we're not looking to stop this show anytime real soon. So
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, like, the bear.
and
I
that
mean,
bear's
the armor will look really good once it's done, I believe.
agreed. Cool. Well, we're super looking forward to that. And John, you were saying that you had taken in the process that you used to find that particular color scheme that you ended up with the it was kind of the GI Joe one. Was that just you were watching the show and it came across it, or?
No, I've got a couple graphic novels of old Marvel G.I. Joe, and I was reading through them, and it just sort of randomly hit me. And that's sort of where inspiration comes, which is why I always have a notepad or something I can type notes on, because you never know when inspirations are going to come to you. Sometimes you might be like watching a movie and like, oh, that's a great scheme for a thing, and then you just have to try and remember it, or, you know, until you get done with the theater so you can write down your notes real quick, like, okay, paint this like this and this like this.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring over the flying crotch cam. And
Flying crotch cam!
flying crotch cam. Woo! Crotch cam.
Oh,
There's
of doom.
and there's my crotch. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move this back over here, and let's stop the jiggling. And we're going to
Never stop the jiggling.
I know. Well, we're that would make us jiggling on Twitch, so it would be jiggling, twiggling. Anyway, so one of the things that I wanted to show off here is that like we've talked about on the show, my boy likes him some Colossal Wrestling. So I've got this Colossal that I have a Conquest, and we're kind of trying to figure out what we were going to do with this, and I want to find the picture. There it is. So this is the inspiration for the Conquest that I'm painting, and this is an old World War II fighter plane, and this is known as, and I forget the model of it, and I'm sure someone's going to yell it out in the chat room, but this is what it's going to be modeled after. And you see these, they call these shark faces, and I'm going to be painting one of those onto this, and I'll show you how a P-40 Warhawk, there you go, boom. I knew somebody would come up with it. Got too many damn nerds in the house. This is for us not to have it. Okay, so
Nerds.
as you can see on the Conquest here, it's got the green that is from the top of it, but then when you flip it over, it's got all this cream color on it as well. So that it's kind of picking up that kind of detail as an inspiration for off that P-40 Warhawk. And then what I'm going to do with the shark face is I'm going to come across this one pod here and bring it towards the front on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. Now, a majority of this I did with an airbrush, and the airbrush was acting up that day and I'm not super happy with how it turned out. So I've got some touch-up work to do with a brush, and that's what I'm going to start doing now while we're talking about things. We're talking about inspiration. Is I'm going to start catching up on some of this stuff. So, I wish that inspiration had struck me a little bit harder when I was painting my protectorate back in the day, because my early protectorate could not be more different than the current stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It makes for a little inconsistent army, but it does also let you sit back and take a look and see how far you've progressed as a painter.
Yeah, that's true.
That's also good because that gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling deep inside, deep in the cockles of your heart.
Oh, you said cockles.
I mean, you have my old Minoth, the metal ones that I sent you.
Yes, I do.
That was my original paint scheme that I did.
There we go. Yeah, but you've got some, that blue is been now echoed in your Khador a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, which is funny because my friend's like, I bet you there's gonna be blue in it. I'm like, shit. Yes, there is gonna be blue in this model I'm painting. I mean, one, I like the way blue paints.
Yeah.
I love that it's a very bright and contrasting color to whatever's put on there. I mean, if anybody saw, I don't even know if I have pictures of my old Retribution, but it was lime green neon. I mean, it was so bright, but that's how I paint. Just makes it quick and easy.
Yeah, I like blue also because blue seems to highlight and shade better than other colors.
Yes.
Blue with a wash is like, that's pretty good. A little dry brush on top, you're like, done.
Got this.
Yeah. Job's a good one. You'd think green would do it, but green doesn't do it as well. It's hard to get green just because you've got natural green, and then you've got what I like to call comic book green. And the two don't go together very well.
Mm-mm. But I mean, the blues have been doing. I really like blue. Was it the Signar Highlight Blue, Arcane Blue?
Yep.
And the basic Signar Blue. Those I really like a lot. They're just really.
They cover good.
Yes.
Sort of the ultramarine blue sort of color.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of the ultramarine blue. But.
Yep. I mean, my Tau have a decent amount of blue in them.
I like the one you sent us, the one that looks like Quasar.
That was who I was trying to figure out. Yes. And what it is it's a Ghost Kill stealth suit. And so I was like, well, why wouldn't it be, starred and all that stuff up? And that's the reason why I did that. And that was just done by flecking specks of, with a toothbrush.
Yeah, that was actually what they suggested. Chibi suggested back in the day when they were doing Battlefield Gothic was, you want to make star bases on your little flight stands? Just get an old toothbrush and speck some white paint on it. Boom, stars.
Yep. Yeah, I really like that stuff. So I'm just going to keep on painting here a little bit. Now, John, did we have some questions and things like that related to inspiration? I thought I saw some come in.
We have two related to inspiration, and one we saved from last week related to cons because our con expert's back.
Nice.
We'll save that. Save that for a little bit. But Kevin Bashford, aka Dow Dark, said, "Have you ever had it to where halfway through painting an army you lose inspiration in it, and how do you recover to continue on, or do you strip and start again?"
So I'll start with this one a little bit because I've lost inspiration like 3 or 4 times on my protectorate. So what I've done is that I have not stripped. What I've allowed my color scheme to do is to somewhat evolve over time. And then what I have done most recently is I won't strip. I mean, it's got to be egregiously bad for me to take a full step back on a whole model. But I have allowed myself to kind of morph I will either morph my color scheme into, like, when you look at my protectorate, I've got that kind of black color scheme now. And I've allowed my color scheme to drift into that. And then on some models that are just like way off base, what I've done is I've gone back and touched them up and repainted it up a little bit just to kind of pick up some of the colors that are more like my current color scheme. And that seems to have worked out pretty well. What about you, Gonzo?
I've never fully stripped. Usually,
I
do that.
I've heard that
for
about you.
Special times of the day.
Yeah.
It's for special people.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, I just power through it and just paint the whole thing. But I do test models along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did 2 test models for my K-Door paint scheme, and one of them was a lot of arcane blue type stuff, and I was like, no, it's not going to work because Adepticon came up, and you have to be fully painted for that. So I was like, let's cheat paint scheme this. But, yeah, I've never gone back and stripped a full half army. That's just way too much. Because you've also got to think you probably have already based them.
Yeah.
Already did all that stuff, and to do that and wreck that is a lot of problems.
Yeah, my first rule of models is do not sell a painted army until you have absolutely replaced it, because you will not replace it otherwise. Trust me on that.
Yep.
No matter how much you're like, oh, my painting skills are way better, I'm just going to repaint everything. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No, I mean, especially like especially on like, let's say my Protectorate where I've got so many units. No, that would never come back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with just keep going on. I mean, if it changes a little bit, just make some changes as you go. Like John's stuff, now you'll have a good progression of where you started and where you ended as a painter.
Yep.
And there's nothing to say that if it's simple, you can't go back and just add some paint to the models you did before. Or, sometimes just want to, they get to that point where you're like, there's nothing really coming out, but I want to expand my collection. You always get that itch. Buy something you already have. So you're like, oh, I need, my third Reckoner. Maybe make a list of 3 Reckoners, and here's my third one. I'll paint up in my newer paint scheme.
Yep.
Or what have you.
And then that becomes your primary. It becomes the one that you reach for more often than not, and you got that going for you. Yeah,
and then you never know. Sometimes you're like, I've got enough. I'll maybe some new guy will come in the store. I'll sell him some painted stuff real cheap. He's getting out. Suddenly someone else has got to start from your old stuff. It's the circle of miniatures. They go around.
It's the circle of life. Exactly. Good question, though.
Yeah. So the other one was not really inspiration. It was actually Brian LaTour said one little thing he likes to do is try and gender swap versions of some of my characters. It's fun to do for a few reasons. One, it's a challenge, finding the right model of the opposite gender and then trying to get the distinctive elements of the model in. 2, you usually end up with a very unique model that looks good and gets a lot of attention on the table. And 3, it pisses off the douchebags who think that Lady Ghostbusters just ruined their whole childhood.
Exactly. I think that's the best answer to the whole darn thing, is that it's like, come on, folks. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff has gotten out of hand, and I love that idea. It is super cool.
Although, I will have to say, and some people may give me crap for it, I cannot stand the con mini for Reinhold.
Oh no, I don't like it at all.
That makes me want to vomit.
Let's talk about that actually, because why? They've already done it with the bombshell, the Druid Gone Wilder. They're doing cheesecake models. Why is it a problem that's Reinhold?
They sure have, and boy, wouldn't it be interesting to see them do something different.
Well, also, it's not even that this one's like blatant. Because, okay, you got the bombshell bombardier. Okay, yeah, you got a woman hanging outside the thing. It just doesn't fit Reinhold at all.
I didn't see the connection on it at all.
I'm with you on that, too. I did not see, it's like, hey, here's some tits, ass, and, oh, yeah, we'll put a watch on here.
And a Reinhold doll in her pocket.
But at the end of the day, it's a con exclusive. I feel like that's the perfect thing. Like, it's not the thing you have to have. It's,
no.
They're aiming directly at their target audience.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, guys, but we're a little over the age of their target audience.
No, I have no issue with that, but I also game with a lot of girls.
Fair.
And
honestly, misogyny in miniature games is not a new thing.
No, I don't disagree.
And maybe calling it full-fledged misogyny is not really fair, but it's a male-dominated industry, and it shows.
Yeah.
Kingdom Death what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fuck Kingdom Death.
But
So-
see, Kingdom Death is the entire line is done like that too.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with the Reinhold. In fact, I think it's good for a model that has a. I mean, let's be honest. He's an old and mediocre model. He's not bad. He gets it across, but he's not a great model. And I feel like it's a great one to replace. Did they do it the right way? I don't know.
Reinhold's
Literally,
great for
when
me.
I saw it, I thought that was a joke. I thought like, oh look, someone took someone else's model and put it on the page for War Machine Hordes, and then I found that it wasn't. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess it's a thing they did.
Yeah.
I don't doesn't fill me with anger. Just like, okay, that's what you're doing with those models. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I'm not mad at it or anything. I just think it's like no, one I definitely won't be picking up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not angry either. I'm disappointed more than anything else. I think that it would be, I don't know, really another one, or if they're going to just make it all pinups, that the con exclusives are going to just be all pinups, maybe just say that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Maybe they're changing the way they do stuff, and in 5 years, be like, oh yeah, remember when they started doing all the pinup con models a couple years ago with that Reinhold model? You know, who knows? The thing is they don't have to explain, and generally don't explain their entire plans to us.
No, nor
Which is too bad.
Yeah.
But so we have another question in the chat room.
Okay.
Archimedes wants to know, John, have you ever had paint caked onto a model so it takes away from the detail from it? And how do you fix something like that, or is there a way to?
So I have, and generally when I was a newer painter, that was a mistake that I had made. Sometimes it can be made because the paints you're using are maybe a little bit less forgiving. Maybe they're like a Citadel line. Some of their base colors are generally pretty thick, and they can get a little caked up and a little bit hard to deal with. The best thing to do to keep that from happening is to use a wet palette. It's the number one thing to do. And I'm just going to kind of move the old camera over here. This is a wet palette over here. This is the kind I use, which is the Masterson's Stay Wet Handy palette, and you can get them for not a whole lot of money at any kind of craft store. We'll have them.
$10 on Amazon.
Yep, $10 on Amazon. They work very, very well. They have a sponge base to them that allows it to soak up water, and then I just use regular Reynolds parchment paper on top of mine, and it works very, very well. And that allows you to get a little bit of pre moistening of your colors a little bit. Have I had a model that has been so caked up? Yes, I have. Generally, when you get paint on that's maybe more thick than you wish it had been, there's little you can do to fix that, save of putting it in green what do they call that? It's a simple green, and stripping it down. And if it's a PVC model, you're kind of screwed. There's good, John.
I actually have a counter to that, John.
Okay.
Actually, if you have it only on a certain part of the model, if it's just a small part of the model, not the whole thing, you can actually take some nail polish remover, also called acetone, and get a Q-tip. And for God's sake, use a Q-tip. Don't pour the whole thing on this model or put the model in acetone. That's not going to end well. And just take the Q-tip, and you can actually rub off the paint with that. Now, granted, you're going to go straight down to the base, and I suggest you keep a paper towel ready, a little water, so you can wash it off afterwards in case it's a plastic model, so you don't start melting it. You'll get it all the way down to the base, and you can reapply a hand base of black or what have you, and then paint back up. It's a pain in the ass, but sometimes painting just that little portion of the model will be easier than painting the whole damn thing again.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even think about that, John. Thank you. That's a good point.
I had to do that on my sculpted Ashlyn because I fucked up her face a couple times.
Yep. And
Those faces are hard.
Yep. And faces are very... The detail on them is not very deep either.
Yeah, some do, some don't. I know a couple older GW models had a lot of detail in the face. They were an absolute pleasure to paint because they took washes and dry brushes very well. But some of the nicely sculpted female faces in any line don't have a lot of lines because Every line you add to a female face adds like 10 years.
Yeah.
Makes her look older rather than giving it depth. So, Archimedes also asks, how do you set up a wet palette? Which is super easy. Since you've got the one there, you actually just take the sponge and you put it in water. And how much water is really going to be one of the things you have to feel out for yourself.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be soaked through, but not like gushing.
Right.
And then you just put the parchment paper on and get it so that it's see-through like it is there. You can barely see it on the screen there, so that the water's seeping through, which keeps your paints wet and fresh.
Yeah. If you notice, like some of this, they've actually, the water has come up through the parchment and has separated out some of the paints on here, and that has been on there for probably, week and a half. Those colors have been on there for, well, at least for sure a week, because I used them for our last show, and that's where those are from. So, and as you can see, they're still plenty wet. They're not drying out anytime soon. So.
Yep. I've left paints for like a month and a half, 2 months, and come back and they were still usable.
Yep. So that's what I really highly recommend a wet palette. It's a great way. The other thing it allows you to do is to start experimenting a little bit with color blending and doing some, getting that privateer press, the P3 color blending thing, and go back, if you're a newer viewer, go back to some of the Zenithal shading stuff that we've done with Side Hustle Seth, and Seth Watkins will be probably on the name on the episode guide, and take a look at some of that kind of stuff, because a wet palette will allow you to dilute those colors down so you can use some of those glazing techniques we talk about on there, and they really can kind of kick up the quality of your painting. And when you glaze, you will never make paint that's so thick that you're going to be it's going to cause issues with loss of detail.
Yeah, like everyone said, you want to water down the paints, because a lot of thin coats is way better than one thick coat.
Yep.
It takes a lot more time, but that's sort of the thing.
And what you see me doing here now is I'm actually using a dry brush technique on some of these metals, because sometimes the metals actually go on a little bit nicer with a dry brush than they do with painting with wet.
I actually find that if you want a dark metal, you want to base coat the thing in black, which is what we usually do when we prime. And then actually just a heavy wet brush or dry brush of the metallic color goes a long way, because you still leave a little bit of that metal in the recesses, or a little bit of black in the recesses. So when you
I think he locked up again. So yeah, you leave a little bit of that in the recesses, and it really helps it kind of pop out a little bit, really nice.
See, and I dry brush all my metals.
Yeah,
that's my thing. Is I dry brush every bit of anything I want to look metallic. I dry brush it just because I like the way it looks.
Yeah, it seems to give a really smooth look to it, which I like.
So I mean, that's what I usually do with mine. Is I dry brush every bit of metal I can. If I'm doing like a bronze, like I did my my bombardier, because I took the bombshell bomber and made it an objective marker.
There you go.
And I made it a bronze statue.
Cool.
And so I dry brushed all that. So
there you go.
But yeah, I dry brush all of my metals, no matter what, and then just paint over black with what I need to.
There you go. So I'll do these dry brushes here for quite a bit, and then I'll come back for some of the more detailed stuff, and I'll use a regular brush. The other one thing you do need to keep in mind when you're dry brushing, of course, is that you want to make sure that if you've done some kind of a base coat that's nearby, there can be the opportunity to get a little overspray. So just make sure you're prepared to do a little bit of repair work on it after it's done.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Okay, sounds good,
but
buddy.
I'm on my test, so don't expect much.
The audio sounds a little funny right now, John. So something may have gone sideways in your settings.
I'm on my tablet.
Oh, you're on your tablet.
Oh,
okay, got it. So, anyway, so we're just gonna.
Some John, none John.
What's that, buddy?
I said some John's better than none John.
Oh hell yeah, You got that right.
Yeah. Woo, woo.
All right, so we're just gonna keep on cruising along here, giving the love to this Conquest. My nose is running a little bit, but it's not hurting me too bad.
Better go catch
Go
it.
catch it quick.
Oh snap! You guys, tell you what,
We're so fun.
these are the Sunday night comedies you can't get on Fox. I'll tell you that. Painting is happening
True.
off screen. Good point. There. No, that's better. Sorry,
Fun
guys.
thing happens on screen, guys. It happens.
Sorry, guys. This is what happens when I start like getting really into doing painting. I'm not watching the screen that's directly in front of me. I know that's why people should give to Patreon on this thing. It's because this is so freaking professional and stuff. But
Absolutely. I'm on my tablet. You're painting off screen.
yeah, boom.
I'm putting together a model on a painting show.
I bet you Muse on Minis doesn't do that.
No.
No. So
Gonzo, you're going to be on comment duty. I can't see any comments.
Comment is, John, can you move back the model?
done.
Yes, he did.
Done.
Seth's got a question. Seth asks, what color do you avoid using on your models?
Ooh,
Go ahead, Gonzo. White.
I'm right up with this one. I don't have a problem with white as much. But my favorite color in the world is yellow, and I hate painting yellow. I hate yellow with a passion. It makes me want to throw the paint bottle at people. It makes me want to just cuss and I
It's
hate
hard.
painting yellow.
It's super hard. I find that the best way to do yellow for me is to paint it. And John, I think you're the one that taught me this little trick. Is you paint it with moldy ochre first,
Yeah.
and then you come back with a regular like a brighter yellow if you're trying to get that kind of an effect.
Yeah, I can use that for gold occasionally. But yeah, yellow's still my least favorite, even with that trick.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
hard. I have actually usually if I'm doing yellow, I'm going to have the airbrush out,
Oh,
and
that's a good call.
then I can put a bunch of different layers on it, very thin layers, which is usually what yellows demand from you, is that you go lots of thin layers in order to keep it from turning into something that looks like, God exploded all over it.
What?
So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the yellow at all. So,
Oh, yeah, yellow.
other colors I avoid. I don't know. Orange.
Orange is always weird.
Orange. Yeah, it's something about the yellow, that sort of area of the color area, wheel maybe, that. So it's that it makes it kind of difficult. I don't know if it's what it is about the color, the pigment, that's used in yellow, in orange, but they always seem really cantankerous. Hey, John,
Yeah,
got your face now.
What?
That's a great camera view. That's a
Selfie
great
cam.
That's all right. We get this figured out, guys. Hey, we got this going on.
It's a Kindle. Fine.
Hey, there you go.
You'll never see production values like this anywhere else.
Too, but
They're not
I
doing
haven't
this
thought of
on.
it.
They're not doing this on Muse on Minis. I can promise you that.
Which they did run a very good con, by
Good.
the way.
Good. happy
I
for
like the
'em.
way they did their card system. I don't know if y'all have ever been to it.
Mm-hmm.
But typically if you go play Iron Arena or whatever, you get points. You can trade those points in for tchotchkes or whatever and stuff. And they do it as a card system. So for like every hour you play, like in a tournament, you get this boxes marked off. And each box is 1 point. You buy something from a store. Bye, John. You get a point for certain things. And you can trade all those points in, but it's all based on a card.
Yep.
Which was really, really good. It worked out really well.
Good. That's innovation is a good thing.
Yes.
Indeed.
Oh, hey,
It
John's
was-
back on his rig.
Just take some time. I'm glad I put it on the tablet, though. Let's.
Super sweet. Any more? Whoop! Then he went away again.
Yeah.
All right, so it's gonna be one of those nights, guys. It's okay. We fight through this shit. All right, John.
Fucking Skype.
Yes.
Ah.
All right. So, any more questions, John?
Yeah, we have the one from last week from Stephen Halterman, who the hero of the episode.
Hell yeah.
And
The folks, I'm going to warn you that if John does come back, there's going to be a lot of profanity. And I mean by a lot of profanity, I mean
so much profanity.
there's going to be a lot of profanity. So just, hang on.
Skype.
He's going to
What is
use
up with Skype?
he's going to be using it in full sentences. So if you have to explain things to your kids, it's okay.
It's not actually.
Man, we haven't had one of these in a long time where just technology reached up and grabbed us by the nuts. It's gonna be so. I don't know. I don't have visibility to the questions either, because I couldn't be bothered.
Hey, what's the question,
Fuckity
John?
fuckity fuck.
There you go.
Not a complete sentence. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but it's
Skype just keeps crashing, and I have no idea why.
if you think about it though, the way that particular word gets used, it could literally be full sentences that he's using.
Yes, because it probably was the subject, the noun, and the verb all in one.
That's right. So, how are you enjoying your vacation, Gonzo?
Actually pretty good. Just working on models and trying to do some painting, playing a ton of games.
Good.
Getting as many as I can in.
He's back for now.
I give it 15 seconds.
It sounds like he's on the tablet.
Fucking, I don't have the words.
Okay.
I do. They're all fuck.
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, I'm restarting their computer.
Okay.
Stupid Skype.
I'm getting a little bit of reverb, but not too bad. We're not going to worry about that.
Back up the tablet.
We're not going to worry about that though. We're be fine. So I'm going to paint a different color now. I'm sick of painting silver. I'm going to paint some gold on here. So.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
What was our con question? That way, in case you drop out, we can work on that.
Because it's on my computer. My computer's restarting.
Oh my gosh. So
I
fired.
have the word forever. What do you want?
You got reprimanded for saying crap during a 40K game?
What?
Congo the Jorgenman says one time he got reprimanded for saying crap during a game of 40K.
Oh, that motherfucker would have some problems.
Okay,
Let's see.
here we go. Everyone knows I'm a teacher. Kids aren't allowed to cuss at school. We got that.
Correct.
I had a parent or a teacher send a kid to the school because he got hit in the face with a soccer ball and he said, "Oh shit, that hurt." Okay, so they sent him to the principal's office for this, and I was like flabbergasted. I'm like, why? One, it's probably common language at his home. Two, he wasn't calling you a piece of shit. He was just expressing himself in a quick and painful manner. I'm like, no.
That is
So don't get me
stupid.
wrong, I had to reprimand him. I had to reprimand him for cursing in school, but I was like, this is so stupid. It's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, that's dumb.
That's dumb.
Well, I've encountered a new issue, and it's awesome. My computer won't restart.
Ruh-roh.
Turns on, wait for it, and then turns off.
Uh-oh.
All right, so the next thing I'm going to be doing on this is I'm going to paint all these different pipes. Kind of start painting them brass colored or copper colored, as I am wont to do in my color schemes.
Brass monkey.
Copper is another one of those colors that I feel like it takes a little bit of extra work to get it smoothed out and looking good, but it's totally worth it.
Very, very, very thick paint.
Yeah, it is, and it looks after one coat like you've ruined your model. But if you go back and you touch it up after this first coat dries a little bit with a little bit of dry brushing, it really comes together nicely. I'm a big fan of Rulic Gold. So we'll just
see, like the brass I did was I like Vallejo's brass that he has, and then I wash it down with like a kind of a mixture of armor wash and brass. And then I highlight it with the Rulic Gold.
Yep. I take my color in a little bit different direction. I use the Rulic Gold, then I wash it down with Reichland Flesh Shade. and then I bring it back up with Vallejo's solid gold, and that seems to work out pretty well for me. So, but folks, this is when we give you these techniques. These are just preferences, man. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, and these are just ways that we found that we like the way that the brasses and the coppers turn out. Now, the other thing I'll do on this is I'll do a little bit of weathering on this guy as well by putting the some of the Citadel Technical. What do they call it? The blue shit. Nikolai oxide on there, just to kind of give a little bit of a patina to the copper, because I like the way that looks. So hopefully these are giving you some ideas on some inspirations. Has there been? I haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention to the chat room here just recently, but there's a lot of different ways you can get inspiration. One of the guys at in my former LGS, he made his Circle Army into some of the B-list superheroes, like Captain Planet and stuff like that.
Who's doing the Kador Muppets?
Oh, I don't know, but those are amazing.
I can't remember who's doing those. Those are freaking cool.
Those are heavy-duty conversions.
Yeah.
Did you see
But also, you need to remember that if you are going to do conversions, you got to know PP's policy on that.
If you plan on taking them into major tournaments.
Correct.
And I'd tell you, if I would never, as a TO, I would never, as long as I could tell what it was, as far as the model's concerned, I would never disallow any of that kind of stuff, because that kind of creativity is only good for the game.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a local event and a guy showed up and he had a Kador Jack and, modified it and stuff, and as long as I could tell what it was, I was like, I don't care. Yeah. Oh, you have it painted up like the Viking football team?
If you want to curse yourself, because there's one thing a Viking will never do, and that's win the big game. So, that's something that you got to watch out for. Hey, I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. We laugh at that shit all the time.
Son of a bitch.
I'm sorry, John.
So angry.
I'm so sorry. We don't like it when we have technical problems.
This is a big one, too.
Is the computer not coming back up at all?
It turns on for a second, then turns off.
No.
Ruh-roh.
No bueno. You can't go to China.
I guess not.
Can't go overseas.
Well, I'm replacing it anyways by then, but this sort of forces my hand, doesn't it?
Yeah, but probably not on the timetable that you wanted to either.
That's what they make credit cards for, dog.
Oh. Whoa.
That's the American way, right?
Sorry. Forgot.
My car's almost paid off. It's good. One more payment.
At the last tournament I was at, I saw a guy who had his minions painted as Bebop and Rocksteady from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Looked pretty sweet, and he was going to paint up the turtles and a rat-style model for Splinter. I think that's amazing.
Yep.
Yes.
That's amazing. So what we're karmically aligned with here on this show is really having fun with this. I'm really enjoying. I mean, I've got this Kador stuff that good friend of the show, John Madrano, gave me, and I'm never going to play Kador. I mean, I barely have time to play the stuff that I like playing, let alone try a new army. But
a good army.
Yeah. And so this is going to be really super fun for Colossal Wrestling. And by the way, there is going to be Colossal Wrestling at JohnCon.
Am I running that one?
If you want to.
Okay. Because I have all the sheets. I got permission from the PP guys about making copies of everything and like cheat sheets.
Okay.
Out of the book and laminating them, so I can have all that ready. Also.
Dude, if you want to run it,
I'm
not going to stand in your way. I know that
I do take bribes.
Chuck,
so
oh yeah, we can handle
beer?
that. Yeah, well, yeah. So we'll take care of that. And then we've got the food machine style event that's going to be taking place. That will be great. And we're going to have coffee and beer tasting on Friday night. So, but we're going to have lots more information on all of that. And so stay tuned and watch this space because we're going to be making it a big deal. Let's see here.
So let's talk about con stuff. I'm going to cyclically guess about the question. All right, you ready?
All right, do it.
The question was, when you go to a con, how do you get yourself prepared for what you're going to see?
Okay.
I think it was more on the how do you spend your time appropriately.
Okay. See, it came from my brain to your mouth to me. There we go.
Nice.
That's how my psychic works.
Boom.
How do you prepare for yourself? I mean, okay, give it to me one more time.
How do you properly use your time? And I've got thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours though first.
Okay. Whenever I go to a con, no matter what it is, first I get and look at what their roster is. What events are they playing? What are their times? Et cetera, et cetera. I look at the tournament. Is it going to be a hardcore, super competitive tournament? Yeah? All right, I'm not going to play in it. If I lose round one, I'm typically going to drop because usually it's going to be like the top 4, top 8, move on to something else, or it's going to be a final tables. So it's not going to matter if I drop, so I'm not going to screw someone's strength schedule. And then I go find another event. Events nowadays usually have scramble events set up on the side. So as soon as you get 8 people, you can start an 8-man tournament.
Yep.
While I'm waiting for that to go through, I typically will run to the vendor hall at a smaller con. If you're going to like Gen Con, get you an early entry pass if you can. But I set up everything. I set up a schedule. If it's like a 2-day thing, like War Machine Weekend, everything's posted so you know what you can play in, when to play, how to play, and just get yourself a small list. But know if you're going to go do something super competitive and you lose first round or second round, or as soon as you lose, drop and go play something else. Don't just
Yeah. If you enter into a Masters, which is going to be at a lot of big shows, it's going to be a 6 or 7 round event these days because the events have just gotten bigger. You're talking about if you're going to do that and you're going to stick with it, you're talking about an entire day out of a possible 3 days that you're talking about now. If that's fine, as long as you're just looking for games. But I think that can be a suboptimal way to use your con. I find that I like to. I spend most of my time in Iron Arena if I'm playing War Machine, and I then will spend time I'll find like role plays. I think I did it as good as I know how to do it at the Sioux this year, which was I played some Iron Arena, and then I did some RPG, and then I did some podcasting, and then that was kind of a day. And then did kind of wash, rinse, repeat the next day. And I really had fun doing it that way. Then you get some board gaming going on in there and just really get to meet, maybe make some new friends and meet new people. But to get locked into, I guess the thing I would say is don't overdo it. A con is a vacation. And, maybe you don't get to too many of them per year, but make sure that you pick like maybe one thing a day that you really want to do, and do that, and then kind of let your system kind of flex into it. The advent of the scrambles, which were kind of a thing that were created initially at War Machine Weekend, I think is such a great innovation because it gives you the chance to, if you want to play a little bit more competitive, like where you're actually trying to win, that's a great way to do it without tying up a huge chunk of your day.
That was actually devised by our great and wonderful friend Kim.
And
she's the one that thought that up.
And I didn't want to. I knew that she had done it, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to say that.
Yeah, she actually thought that up, and it hits off everywhere.
Yep.
And it's quick and easy, and that's a good way to play a bunch of games, especially if you're learning the game, and you really don't want to go against the uber competitive people. That's like the way to go.
Yep. And you will see competitive people get into those, but they tend to. It's a one-list event, so you see them in a more relaxed setting, though, too.
Yeah. Or people are like, oh, I've got this really stupid list I want to try out.
Yep.
And that's a good way to test it out besides playing with your buddies.
Agreed.
And, oh no, you lost. Guess what? You don't get a little Chotsky.
Yeah, you don't get...
If there is one.
You might get a die. You might get a die. Well, I have to tell you, I'm very proud of my scramble dice that I have. I've got a gold, I've got a silver, and a bronze.
Yep. I think I stole your bronze one.
You did?
That one year.
That's okay.
Yeah, because we were playing, and you had Harbinger, and I think it was like our first con that me and you actually played, because we actually played a game, and you were playing Harbinger, and you had Harbinger on 0 focus, I think is what it was, because you were running from me.
That sounds like me.
And what was it? The Convergence Jack with the hammer.
Donglator?
Yeah, that one-hit knockdown thing, and it was power 20, and I hit you and just smashed you, and you were like, well, I guess that's how it works.
Yep.
Is that actually the inverter?
Yes, the inverter.
Inverted the Harbinger on that one.
Yep. Because I think that was the first time I met you.
Yeah. See, we still like
you were
each
like,
other.
yeah, you're weird, and I'm like, yep.
I doubt I said that. I doubt I said that.
Not in front of me.
Well, I did. Well, I posted. I used Twitter for that.
That's what Twitter's for.
I called you a Kofifi.
A Kofifi.
Yeah. Sometimes if I drink too much water, I have to Kofifi.
But no, plan your timeout. Find out what you're gonna do. If you're going to be super competitive, and you want to play, I play with cock. I ain't got a problem with that.
That was coming.
If you want to be super competitive and learn to play, continue playing in the good competitive lists, good competitive games, good competitive tournaments. If you're just looking just to get a crap ton of games in, go play scrambles. Go play something small, or play in the big ones and drop out as soon as you can, and go play in other stuff. But don't overdo yourself. Go have fun too.
Yep.
Like hanging out with friends and drinking beer.
Yep. Or if you don't drink, just hanging around and just have fun. There's so much to do at cons.
Talk to people and meet people and just chat about stuff too.
Yes. Yeah. Hang out.
Go to lunch together. Go to dinner together. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I know that I will be setting up something at War Machine Weekend, and it was brought into effect. I know that not all of us smoke cigars, and y'all are less civilized, but we understand that. But there will be at War Machine Weekend a gentleman and gentlewoman club, where we will be bringing scotch and bourbon and cigars, and sometime during the late night afternoon, we'll get together and do that.
So Hot Carl's finally making that vision come true, huh?
Well, I had mentioned it, and he was like, okay. And I'm like, all right, I'll just set it up. It's not going to be anything specialized or formulated or whatever, but I'll just invite everybody, and you just bring your scotch and your bourbon and cigars, and if sure it's the same hotel, there's a great place out back with a ton of chairs, and just sit and socialize with everybody for a bit.
That was the original concept behind the Old Man tour, is that it was to have scotch and cigars and crap like that, and it obviously we couldn't do it inside because of laws and things like that, but
laws, such a pain.
Seriously,
the president doesn't follow. I mean, sorry.
Boom.
But yeah, spend some time socializing, because you will find out that you will find some of the coolest people in the world when you go to conventions. You just hang out for a little bit.
Yep. Good people.
And just BS.
Good
Yeah, it's a
people.
good time.
Cool. We are rapidly approaching media time. Are we going to go with a half-hour media time thing here, John? Or are we going to go with less media time this time?
I did watch another movie. I don't know what Gonzo watched.
Watch 3.
3 movies. We should probably start now then.
I watched 2, so we can go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and bring this over onto the media section, and we can start talking about that. And I'm going to stop painting here pretty soon. All right. So, John, why don't you lead it off?
Over my shoulder.
What? It's good. It's a good look.
So let's save the one we watched together, John, for last.
Okay.
Or together. The same movie we watched.
All right.
Spiritually.
Why don't we? I'll start off
Let's
with
start with Gonzo.
Go to Gonzo first. Good.
Yeah, he's got 3.
Go to me first. What was the one movie that I started watching and I had to turn it off because it was so bad? Imposter, where they used footage from Starship Troopers into their movie. It was kind of like a prequel to the Starship Troopers.
Whoa. So we have somebody doing the old Turkish Star Wars thing?
No, it's actually. Let me see if I can find it. I can't remember exactly. I just started watching it today, and then it really it freaked me out. Yeah, it's called Imposter. It's made in 2002, and it has Gary Sinise. And I started watching it, and it's from the author of Total Recall and Blade Runner. And I started watching it, and I just had to stop, and I had to rewind it because they were using footage from Starship Troopers within the movie.
Wow.
Low budget.
Oh yeah, I'm like, how do you steal footage from Starship Troopers? I mean, that's bad.
And not just go straight to jail unless you're in Turkey.
Oh, I'm sure they bought the right to do it. But I mean, I was like, how could? And the footage they used was the scene where all the troopers are standing up in like a parade line, and then when they're running to their vehicles, I was like, that was so weird. It just made me, and I had to stop it. I'm like, I'll watch it another time because I just don't have time for that crap.
That's too bad.
At all.
That's too bad. I am not familiar with that movie.
I'd never heard of it before, but it's on Netflix.
Well, there you go.
Or not Netflix. It was on like HBO On Demand or something like that.
Oh.
And so I was like, okay. I tried watching last night. And that really, really kind of pissed me off with Clive Owen, Morgan Freeman.
What was it called?
Gotcha.
And
Not so
God,
much.
fuck, people, make some good movies. I mean, it was just bad. I couldn't watch it all the way. I don't have time to watch all that crap anymore. Mystery Science Theater's a different thing because we make fun of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But, and then I caught up on a bunch of shows. But that really, those were the 2 that I tried to watch, and I couldn't get through it. I'm sorry. I'm a bad
Man, does
person.
Clive Owen not have like the worst luck with movies for the most part?
Yeah. And that's the reason, I mean, it's got Morgan Freeman. I love Morgan Freeman. But
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm watching it. I was like, this is the most ridiculous plot crap in the world. And it's so overdone and so overhyped and so over everything. You're just like, y'all are so full of your shit. So I don't recommend any of those. I don't even want to say any Kraken because I don't think the bottle's big enough.
Well, there you go.
It didn't fit. Like you had to fit to give it a fair crack at everything. Some of them bring it up. I'm not saying yours would, but some of them do.
No, it was bad. And I can't even go through the whole movie because I just couldn't finish it. That's how bad it was.
Yikes.
Well, I guess
it's really hard not to eject a movie's earlys nowadays.
Yeah. I'm not completely done with a movie that I started because I want to finish it with the rest of the family. But I started watching a live action version of an anime that I just loved as a kid. When it was an anime as a kid, it was called Star Blazers, and the live action movie is Space Battleship Yamato.
Come on.
And I have always had a super soft spot in my heart for Space Battleship Yamato. The animation back in the day was not good, but the live action movie is exceptional. It is really well done. It captures the spirit of the anime, and man, I got goosebumps when they fired up the wave motion gun for the first time.
I've only seen the highlights of the space battles, and those are really awesome. Makes me want to find the movie and watch it.
Yeah, it's streaming right now on Crunchyroll. Not Crunchyroll. Funimation has it.
Oh.
And I subscribe to Funimation, so I started watching it, and it is very. So according to Congo, it is Chuchu Koi Sensen Yamato, or he's just making shit up. One of the two. Could be either one of those. But it is. It's really, really good. The acting is pretty good. It's actually pretty good. The special effects are tremendous, and highly recommend it. Find it and watch it because it is. It's really well done. So, Space Battleship Yamato available on the Funimation streaming service. John, do you have anything else other than the one we're going to talk about for some length of time?
Oh yeah, I watched one that my buddy Norin said that he was surprised I hadn't seen. It's very Quentin Tarantino-esque, written and directed by the writer and director of The Usual Suspects. I figured I'm in for a treat, right?
Right, sounds like good pedigree.
It's called Way of the Gun, and people rave about it. It acts kind of shit. I'm not gonna lie. It's got some interesting points. It's not like a terrible movie, but it's not good. It is trying very hard to be Pulp Fiction-y or Quentin Tarantino-y. It's got Benicio del Toro, some other guy, and James Caan. And James Caan throughout is trying really hard to be Harvey Keitel or the Wolf from Pulp Fiction, and it's not working too well. He's doing an okay job of it, but the whole plot is that two guys are down on their luck. They've turned to crime, and they're looking for that big score. And they're donating sperm when they hear a guy talking about a woman who's basically getting paid $1 million to carry a baby for a family. Okay. They're like, well, if they're going to pay her $1 million, it's worth more than that, so we'll kidnap her and go. But it turns out, of course, the guy who's paying her is a bad man in league with bad men, and gunfights and stuff ensue. And at the end of the day, nothing really happens except people die.
Wow.
Oh, someone say something? Hit me, Gonzo.
The first 10 minutes of the movie is the best part of the 10 minutes of the movie. When they're sitting on the car.
Oh, yeah.
With Sarah Silverman.
That is fairly amusing. It's a little rough, and so I'm like, John, you're not going to watch this movie. Never watch this movie.
Okay.
Watch the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, watch 10. You can see it. It's like one of the greatest insults in movie history, and then they get their asses whooped a lot. But
so who's in the first? Did you say Sarah Silverman?
Yes.
Yes. She is a great woman who's basically going off, hiding behind her boyfriend who's going to kick their ass.
She's fairly
there's
amusing.
Enjoyment of that. It's a good subversion on what you expect to happen normally. But it just goes downhill from there. There's some good moments here or there, but really it's Christopher McQuarrie off his game and really trying too hard to make a Quentin Tarantino movie when he's not Tarantino.
Fair enough.
You could go to the tubes and just look up the first 10 minutes of it, and the first 10 minutes of that movie is you cheer and laugh because you're just like, yeah, it's about time.
And so I bought it for a couple bucks at the used bookstore locally. I don't feel like I lost money on it, but I'm not feeling like I made out either. So I give it 3 shots of Kraken. It was a bit of a chore to get to the ending, and the ending was not a good payoff for that. It pretty much ends the way you expect it to end. You're like, well, that was anticlimactic and what I expected, and not very interesting at all.
Yep. Well, that's too bad. Any other
I
movies
guess it's time.
Yeah, let's
event.
talk. Let's talk about the elephant in the room called Wonder Woman.
You just called her an elephant. That's not cool.
No, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean it like that. We've been kind of leading up to it though. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Absolutely, yes. I think it's the best DC movie.
I was gonna say I think it's probably the best DC movie I've seen since what was the one that had Heath Ledger or whatever his name was as Joker, Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Yeah,
Dark Knight's a better movie. This, I think, is more enjoyable to watch.
I don't doubt that. Bless you.
The Dark Knight's got this place with me where I'm like, this is a great movie. I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah, I hear you. I really enjoyed Wonder Woman. I felt like it's not a perfect movie.
No.
It is. I think that it spent far too much time focusing on Chris Pine and his character. I think that it was an interesting way that they took an origin story where it played a little bit as a fish out of water comedy in some points of it, which is fine. I like me some comedy with my superhero. Not everything has to be grimdark.
It's also a little poignant, poking at the times, how they treated women in the times. There's a little bit of that there too.
Agreed. And I thought that was an interesting vehicle by which to make that commentary as well. Once she gets cranked up and starts being Wonder Woman, holy shit balls! It's some the scene and there's no spoilers here, folks. This movie takes place during World War I, and and everyone knows that World War I is about trench war. And there's a scene in this movie where Wonder Woman takes trench war into her own hands. Trench war ain't ready for Wonder Woman.
No, not at all. And this movie really is like a mashup of Captain America and Thor.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's really true.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm really glad they put it in World War I, because they put it in World War II, Marvel and the mouse would be knocking on the door going, excuse me, I believe we made this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it was good. I didn't feel like they focused on Chris Pine too much, because he's sort of, her entry into the normal world, so to speak, outside of Paradise Island. I felt like the comedy didn't always hit perfectly, but it was way more hit than miss.
Yeah, agreed.
And while that fight scene was amazing, I feel like the end fight scene, I don't want to say it was anticlimactic, because it wasn't anticlimactic. It was very good, but it was a little dark because it was at night. And I understand that, but man, we want our superhero action in the day so you can see everything in all its glory.
Yeah. I think...
But I don't really hold that against it. That maybe knocks a tiny percentage point off of the whole experience.
Yeah, I think that DC suffers from just everything's got to be dark. And...
Well, they're trying too hard to make good movies. They're not trying to make superhero movies, and that's the problem, because some of this stuff is just so absolutely crazy that you kind of have to wear it on your sleeve and go like, yeah, it's crazy. What's up?
Yeah, exactly.
I think of Hawkeye's speech to Scarlet Witch in Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yep.
It sums up all the superhero movies perfectly. None of this makes any sense, but we've got to do this shit.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, superhero movies are getting where everybody has to one up or it's not going to matter for the purposes. And I think that there was such a big hype. I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet. I have to wait till later. The showing that I was going to see it today would have cut into our time, and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. But one of my friends is a super Wonder Woman like fan. She's got tattoos of Wonder Woman, that whole thing, and she was very happy with it. And she was worried too because she remembers Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
And the only redeeming quality she thought that movie was because of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She was strong.
She was
in
the
that.
best of the non-minor characters.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think that I'm hoping that this can be DC's Iron Man, where you really saw with Iron Man, Marvel finally unlocked the code, and then we got the Marvel Universe movies after that, and they've been far and away good. So you can argue some are better than others, and that's fine, but they're all darn watchable and pretty good. I really look and hope that this is a sign of things to come.
Yeah, and hopefully DC gets over the trying to one-up themselves or one-up Marvel, because Marvel's over it. Like, Doctor Strange didn't really one-up any movie other than crazy visuals. Other than that, the story was pretty stock standard. The action was good. It didn't try and one-up. It just said, we're going to tell this story, and they did that well. And I think Wonder Woman did a little bit. Like, we're not trying to one-up Batman versus Superman, because the action there, some of it was amazing.
Yep.
But like, we're just going to tell this story. And I feel like they did a good job, and they might be on the right track.
Yep. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the talent. I think Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is iconic. I think she is strong. She's a really fine actress, beautiful, but you can see that she's got the physicality to pull off her role, which is really, really good.
Yeah, she played in this movie. She played, older and confident, young and innocent, and badass warrior all well. So I mean, she's got the whole range she needs for the role.
Yep.
Does she in the movie? Because Wonder Woman's not a petite character.
She doesn't come off as petite.
Does she come out? That was my concern. I mean, because Wonder Woman's very iconic of everything, and Wonder Woman in the comic books was not this petite, blah 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 character in the story. And when they said they were going to put her as a role, I was like, hopefully they don't just like put her as the petite princess and not the straight powerful princess. If you understand what I'm saying?
No, I do know what you're saying. I never.
Yeah, feeling she was petite at all. She seemed fine for it.
Yep.
Good.
The extras that were hired for the Amazons on Paradise Island, I just read this today, are actually female athletes. They went out and hired people who are just really awesome, strong athletes, and none of them look waifish, even a small amount.
Yeah. And even the Princess Bride looked good in her role.
Damn right. So, just really good job on that. Chris Pine continues to be very likable as a person. I enjoy watching him in literally almost everything.
I wish they would have done, like, dyed his hair or something, made him look a little different.
Make him look a little less Kirk.
See him, So just dye his hair pure brown or something. That would have went a long way to making him look a bit more different, because he's going to get in that Tom Cruise area, which you don't want.
Nope, I hear you. And then I think that the band of kind of rogues that they end up with were all really. What's that?
They're her Howling Commandos.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought they were really, really well done. So it was good. There was a
people. They didn't feel like characters. They felt like these are actual people.
Right, exactly. And so I was very happy with what happened with the movie. I'm going to give it a solid half a shot of Kraken, just because I want a little Kraken going to the movie. Boom. But it was a hell of a good movie. I will say this for Belinda.
And the one's not her fault, because it's kind of the, when they put a lampshade on the way that women were treated in that time, it is a little uncomfortable.
Yep. Agreed.
And I know they're going for that, so I don't want to hold it against them, but it does take you a little bit out of the movie, because you're not used to that level of people being stupid. Realistically being stupid, but stupid nonetheless.
We have one and I agree with Bell on this one. I have one costuming issue with Wonder Woman. Combat wedges are not okay.
What?
I don't want high heel combat wedges. You would never fight in wedges.
They probably did that because she's not a very tall woman.
That may be.
Fair.
That may be.
Yeah. And it is kind of comic book accurate. I mean, good lord, in some comic books she's wearing full heels.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see that go away too, but that's fine. Whatever. Anyway, so that's the only complaint. Boom.
Very good. And I actually saw a preview for Justice League in the beginning, and I feel like they've tightened up some of the CGI, especially for Cyborg and that, and it's looking just a little bit better.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going to be the kicker, if whether Justice League does good or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go see it. I'll go see it opening because, I mean, despite how much they've mistreated me in the past, I still keep going back to DC movies.
And it's funny to say, but Aquaman may steal the show on that. From what I'm seeing in the previews, Aquaman may end up stealing the movie. It easily could be a Wonder Woman Aquaman movie.
I mean, it's hard to steal a show from Ben Affleck as Batman, though. He was quite good as Batman, even during the shit they had him in Batman vs. Superman. Sorry, he's the 10th guy. I know you love Batman vs. Superman. That's cool. I thought that there was a lot of bad parts to that movie. But Ben Affleck wasn't one of them.
Yep.
No.
In fact, I don't think, for most part, the actors were one of them.
It
Cool.
was just the movie.
So, any final thoughts on Wonder Woman here, fellas?
Go see it. It's good. It's doing well. You need to show them. I mean, I don't know why we need to all go out for a female-centric movie to prove that it'll work. Because if they were to make a male-centric movie and it were to bomb, they just make another male-centric movie. But
Right.
go out and see it. Make Marvel know. Captain Marvel now. Black Widow movie. Get the shit going.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm glad it did good.
Yep.
I was kind of worried about it. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but I was kind of worried that it would bomb and it would set back the need for those type of movies.
Yeah. But it did not. It was good.
No, that it most certainly did not. Well, folks, we have reached the end of a slightly medicated on my part and technically challenged movie or show on John's part. But, John, thank you for muddling through so hard on this one. Sorry when the technology bug reached up and grabbed you by the nuts. So much hate. Well, folks, we'll be back here, same bad time, same bad channel next time. This, of course, is Painting with Men Off John. Hope everybody has a great week. Stay safe. To all of our friends in the UK, stay safe. And we'll be back in a week to do this one more time. So, on behalf of the crew, I'm Menoth John. That's the Irrational Gonzo and Mr. John Spencer. We'll see you next time here on Painting with Menoth John. Good night, everybody.
My balls itch.
That's great. Can't take Gonzo anywhere.